You're listening to the N2K Space Network.
And now, a word from our sponsor, ThreatLocker, the powerful zero-trust enterprise solution that stops ransomware in its tracks. Allow Listing is a deny-by-default software that makes application control simple and fast. Ring fencing is an application containment strategy, ensuring apps can only access the files, registry keys, network resources, and other applications they truly need to function. Shut out cybercriminals with world-class endpoint protection from ThreatLocker.
Today is July the 24th, 2025. I'm Alice Carruth, and this is T-Minus.
T-Minus 20 seconds to LOS egress. Go for deploy. Roger, roll.
Spain is offering up to €400 million to attract the 30-metre telescope to the Canary Islands.
4.
Allspace has been awarded €3.42 million from ESA's Space for 5G, 6G and Sustainable Connectivity Strategic Programme.
3.
Spire Global to expand its space reconnaissance portfolio with new radio frequency geospatial intelligence capabilities.
2.
Iridium, Honeywell and L3Harris have reported Q2 financial results.
1.
iRocket plans to go public in the US through a $400 million merger with special purpose acquisition company BPGC Acquisition.
0.
Our guest today is Chad Anderson, CEO and founder of Space Capital. Chad spoke to our host Maria Valmarzes about the financial landscape after the second quarter of the year. He has some great insights to share, so stick around for more on that later in the show. So today should come as no surprise that we're sticking to a financial theme. We'll have more on the overall outlook later in the show, but for now we're kicking off with the news of a new public offering and 3 major space company Q2 reports. Innovative Rocket Technologies, better known as iRocket, plans to go public in the US through a $400 million merger with special purpose acquisition company BPGC Acquisition. Yes, my friends, SPAC is back. There have been 58 filings for SPAC IPOs on US exchanges so far in 2025, and according to data from Dealogic, that's up from 31 in 2023 and 57 filings total in 2024. What's old is new again, and we know there are more space companies courting the idea of SPAC offerings in the coming months. Now back to iRocket. For those not familiar with the brand, they were formed in 2018 and specialise in liquid oxygen and methane fuel rocket propulsion technology. Wilbur Ross, the 39th US Secretary of Commerce and a sponsor of BPGC, says that, quote, iRocket's unique combination of proven engineering talent, reusable launch systems, and solid rocket motor capability positions the company to capture a significant share in the global launch and propulsion market. I guess time will tell. iRocket isn't trading yet. The transaction is expected to be completed in the fourth quarter of 2025. The companies intend to list the merged entity on NASDAQ. Now on to some financial reporting for the second quarter, starting with communications giant Iridium. The company reported a net income of $22 million, down from the same period in 2024. Iridium says the drop is due to the result of a one-time $19.8 million gain related to the acquisition of Satellites, recognised in the second quarter of 2024. It's not all bad news, though. Iridium reported total revenue of $216.9 million, an increase of 8% versus the comparable period of 2024. Defence and aerospace company Honeywell reported second quarter year-over-year sales growth of 8% and organic sales growth of 5%, led by double-digit organic sales growth in defence and space and universal oil products. Honeywell announced in February a separation of its automation and aerospace businesses. The planned separation, coupled with the previously announced plan to spin off advanced materials, will result in 3 publicly listed companies and is intended to be fully completed in the second half of 2026. And L3Harris Technologies reported strong second quarter results as well, with revenue of $5.4 billion. They have forecast further growth with the proposed US Golden Dome driving the most interest in their business growth area. Pretty impressive given that we still don't know the full plan for the Golden Dome. The idea alone is apparently enough. Moving on from financial news, Spire Global has announced an expansion of its space reconnaissance portfolio with new radio frequency geospatial intelligence capabilities. The company says its new offering will deliver persistent monitoring, real-time geolocation, and multi-layer situational awareness designed to support both US and international missions. Spire says it's aiming to enable government agencies, the security and defense sectors, and integrators worldwide to access advanced RF intelligence tools tailored to a wide range of mission needs such as emergency beacon detection, GNSS interference tracking, and more. We're heading over to Europe now. Allspace has been awarded €3.42 million from the European Space Agency's Space for 5G, 6G and Sustainable Connectivity Strategic Programme under ESA's Advanced Research in Telecommunication Systems known as ARTES. ARTES supports the development of advanced SATCOM products and services from within ESA's Connectivity and Secure Communications Directorate. The new funding will accelerate the development of integration of 5G non-terrestrial networks into Allspace's terminals. ESA's ARTES programme plays a vital role in de-risking emerging technologies and supporting European competitiveness. And Spain's government is offering up to €400 million to build what will be the largest and most advanced telescope in the Northern Hemisphere. The Minister of Science, Innovation and Universities, Diana Morant, has announced that the Spanish government is willing to offer up to €400 million through the Centre for Technological Development and Innovation to attract the 30-metre telescope known as TMT to the island of La Palma in the Canary Islands. Currently, there are 2 possible locations to host the TMT infrastructure, Hawaii or the Canary Islands. We'll be keeping an eye on that story in the coming months. We're also keeping an eye on other stories making the headlines with our producer Liz Stokes. Busy Lizzie, what do you have for us?
Okay, all right. So I have my own nickname already. Okay. Well, we have 4 additional links in the selected reading section of today's show notes. SpaceX launched NASA's Tracers mission yesterday. Turkey's Rogstan has unveiled a new launch vehicle. Royal Canadian Air Force Brig General Kyle C. Paul is the new Deputy Combined Joint Force Space Component Commander at S4S headquarters. And the Karman Project has announced that its Karman Week 2025 will take place in Bangalore, India.
Lots to keep up with in space. Thanks for that, Liz. And as a reminder, those links can also be found on our website, space.n2k.com. Just click on today's episode title. Hey T-Minus crew, if your business is looking to grow your voice in the industry, expand the reach of your thought leadership, or recruit talent, T-Minus can help. We'd like to hear from you. Send us an email at space@n2k.com or send us a note through our website so we can connect about building a program to meet your goals.
Hey everybody, Dave here. I've talked about Delete Me before, and I'm still using it because it still works. It's been a few months now, and I'm just as impressed today as I was when I signed up. Delete Me keeps finding and removing my personal information from data broker sites, and they keep me updated with detailed reports, so I know exactly what's been taken down. I'm genuinely relieved knowing my privacy isn't something I have to worry about every day. The Delete Me team handles everything. It's the set it and forget it peace of mind. And it's not just for individuals. Delete Me also offers solutions for businesses, helping companies protect their employees' personal information and reduce exposure to social engineering and phishing threats. And right now, our listeners get a special deal, 20% off your Delete Me plan. Just go to joindeleteme.com/N2K and use promo code N2K at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/N2K, code N2K.
T-Minus host Maria Varmazes spoke to Space Capital's CEO, Chad Anderson, about the latest in financial reporting and asked him his thoughts about the second quarter.
This is an interesting quarter. So particularly given the volatility in the markets and the big swings that we've seen from a macro perspective, but space investment has continued and was very strong this quarter. It has gone from a niche sort of venture curiosity to a macro relevant asset class. It's reshaping defense, connectivity, and global intelligence. The space economy just posted one of its hottest quarters since 2021. And that was without the help of a single SpaceX mega round. So European governments are really leaning into sovereign solutions, which is starting to create some interesting dynamics. But there's a big hill for them to climb since most of their space and defense-related technologies are imported. But there's a lot of initiative going on there, a lot of interest and willpower to focus on sovereign solutions. And the exits are back. So the IPO window is showing tentative signs of life, and M&A is on track to beat the record that was set in terms of volume last year.
Why don't we work our way backwards and start with the M&A and the exits and then go back to European sovereignty? So any notables in the M&A world or certainly in exits? I can think of a few that I've thought of, but I'd love to hear what was interesting to you.
There is a lot of M&A happening. It's not a lot of high dollar M&A. It's a continuation of what we've seen last year, which is a lot of consolidation as we work our way through the post-zero interest rate period run up in 2021 and the correction that's happened since then. So there's a lot of companies that are, in a difficult situation capital-wise and are looking to combine forces with others to strengthen their position. Also, we're seeing consolidation happen up at the highest levels as well. So there is a trifecta of European defense contractors that are looking to join forces to take on the likes of SpaceX and others. So M&A has been high volume but low value throughout last year and continued into this year. But there are some high value acquisitions that are happening later this year that we're keeping an eye on. So M&A will be very interesting to watch throughout the rest of this year. And then there were 20 exits in the quarter, 8 M&A deals and 2 IPOs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it sounds like I'm thinking back to some of our previous conversations over the years, and some of our chats were kind of marked by things are a little unstable right now, and it sounds like the consolidation is also giving a bit of a stabilizing force at the moment. Things don't seem quite as frenetic. Maybe that's just my impression. I'm curious if that's sort of the gist that you're feeling also.
So venture capital dollars make up a large percentage of investment into space companies. And that was true for what we've seen in the first half of this year. Almost 80% of the entirety of this year's funding has come from venture capital firms. And that's up from 50% last year. So that really signals that professional investors are doubling down even as public markets wobble. So this is important because we have seen some pretty big swings over the quarter. So, at the beginning of the year, we saw a lot of optimism for the new administration coming in, that they were going to double down on space. Tariffs have sort of put a pause on the IPO window opening. Like we started to see some movement there at the beginning of the year. And that's really important because, as we've talked about before, that liquidity, investors need to make money so that they can reinvest that money back into the ecosystem, right? So if there's no liquidity and investors aren't making money, then things really start to slow down. So tariffs put a pause on the IPO market opening up at the beginning of this quarter. And then towards the end of the quarter, things started to heat back up again. So we've kind of gone through some pretty big swings. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I understand. It's a tricky situation. Why don't we put a pin in that? Because I wanted to ask you about what Golden Dome, the impacts you have seen so far. But I wanted to make sure we get to European space sovereignty, because that really is one of the strongest threads that certainly we've been seeing also. And I'm so curious about your view on the economic impact of that, because that is a major story.
I mean, it's definitely another trend that's worth talking about, right? Europe is getting serious about the space domain, really pushing for a lot of European sovereignty and pushing to buy European. NATO members pledged 5% of GDP to defense, and the EU has carved out space as a key area for its competitiveness fund. So a lot of government dollars are being made available, and now it's a matter of like where those government dollars are going to go. So the French president announced that they're going to invest $1.6 billion into Eutelsat, and which is really put out as the primary, their best counterbalance to Starlink. And SES has proposed 2.8 billion euro Intelsat merger is happening and is completed this quarter. So there's a lot going on in Europe. I think like I mentioned, 80% of their defense hardware is still imported, mostly from the US. So the immediate term, so this is something that's going to take some time to play out, but there's certainly the will, there's certainly capital being made available, at least from the government side.
Yeah, I'm always curious about the risk in that specific situation because, as you mentioned, of that uphill climb that they have, and also, how long will the political will sustain, given that it's going to take them some time to catch up to where they need to be. But I guess we'll see. I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, but it will be very interesting to see how that plays out. So I wanted to get your thoughts also on Golden Dome and the economic implications of that. I mean, again, another very hot topic. I feel like every press release I've read makes sure to mention Golden Dome somewhere in there. So certainly I'm seeing that. I'm curious what you've seen specifically in Q2. I
mean, there's a lot of interest in this program because of the size, right? We don't know exactly how big it's going to be, but the numbers being floated around are on the orders of $175 billion. And in this latest bill that's, making its way through, there was $25 billion set aside as kind of an initial payment. Everyone from startups to established defense contractors, everyone is gunning for a piece of this. The really interesting thing that happened in the quarter was SpaceX was apparently a shoe-in. A lot of the reporting was talking about how SpaceX was in pole position to win a lot of those dollars. But then with the fallout between Musk and Trump, what's going to happen with that? There was follow-up reporting that was talking about how people were looking for alternative solutions and things like that, and where else could they put this money? So this is high priority for startups and incumbents alike. Everyone's gunning for it, and with the giant SpaceX, in an interesting position that might create some opportunity for some competitors to get a toehold. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what happens in that arena as well. I was just thinking to myself, Firefly just announced that they're going to go IPO. I wonder, that's going to be very interesting. So that's something to keep an eye on. When we next chat in Q3, any thoughts on what we might be covering then? Some predictions? Yeah, well, I mean, just to pick up on what you were just talking about, I think, again, we're going to see more M&A activity. We've got a bunch of actually high-value acquisitions and mergers that are on the docket. So this is going to be a really interesting year for M&A in terms of volume and also value. We did have a couple of IPOs this year. We had a couple in Q1, we had a couple in Q2, and there are, Firefly's already announced in the first couple of weeks of Q3 that they're going to go public. There are other companies that are exploring it. ISI is a Space Capital family company. They are reportedly, exploring an IPO. And there are others that are talking about it. So I do think the conditions are right. There are, the IPO winter is thawing, and I think that we're going to see some more of that, some more companies that are really focused on space and defense. The public markets seem very hungry for these types of companies. And so I think we're going to see other companies that take advantage of this window of opportunity.
We'll be right back.
Bad actors don't break in, they log in. Attackers use stolen credentials in nearly 9 out of 10 data breaches, and once inside, they're after one thing: your data. Varonis's AI-powered data security platform secures your data at scale. Across LaaS, SaaS, and hybrid cloud environments, join thousands of organizations who trust Varonis to keep their data safe. Get a free data risk assessment at varonis.com.
Welcome back. When you think of space research here in the US, there are a few labs and universities that come to mind that specialise in space. I bet the names that are floating around in your mind right now don't include the University of North Dakota, but that's where a new neutral buoyancy lab is being developed for training. At the bottom of an Olympic-sized pool inside the Ultra Sports Complex, UND researchers will have their own place to explore neutral buoyancy. The new facility will allow researchers, students, and astronauts in training to simulate the weightlessness of space. It will also be used for equipment testing, unmanned vehicle deployment, and motion analysis. Now, why North Dakota? Well, that's all thanks to UND's Department of Space Studies professor and chair of the department, Pablo de Leon. Leon started doing underwater extravehicular training in spacesuits in Huntsville, Alabama in the 1990s. He moved to UND in 2004 and since then has been advocating for the university to have its own underwater training facility. Leon says it feels like a dream come true after these many years. Dr. Leon hopes that the underwater facility will open the doors not only for UND, but for national and international researchers looking to experience an environment similar to space without leaving the planet. Who knew that North Dakota could be the next center for space training? And that's it for today's T-Minus, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights to keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing space industry. If you like the show, please share a rating and review in your podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to space@n2k.com. We're proud that N2K Cyberwire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K helps space and cybersecurity professionals grow, learn, and stay informed. As the nexus for discovery and connection, we bring you the people, technology, and ideas shaping the future of secure innovation. Learn how at n2k.com. N2K's producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester, with original music by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Peter Kilpie is our publisher, Maria Valmarzes is our host, and I'm N2K senior producer Alice Carruth. Thanks for listening and sticking with me.
T-minus.
CISOs and CIOs know machine identities now outnumber humans by more than 80-1. And without securing them, trust, uptime, outages, and compliance are at risk. CyberArk is leading the way with the only unified platform purpose-built to secure every machine identity, certificates, secrets, and workloads across all environments, all clouds, and all AI agents. Designed for scale, automation, and quantum readiness, CyberArk helps modern enterprises secure their machine future. Visit cyberark.com/machines to see how.